this type of environment, you have absolute control. I can put my characters any place, I can put my camera any place, I can have 1,000 cameras if I want.
Computer animation and virtual cameras give Delgo's director Jason Maurer endless options without reshooting anything.
If I want to make this shot longer or shorter, all I gotta do is grab that dot and drag it over. All of a sudden my edit's changed. The action hasn't changed, it's exactly the same, but where my camera cuts are happening is different.
Once the director shares his vision for the script, characters must be created, sets and props must be built, all in the computer.
Everything we have to build has to be sort of unique, so it's not just building an earthly set, it's entire new civilizations.
Warren Grubb is the film's digital handyman. He used both high and low-tech artistry to create the main characters' heads.
We actually got a sculptor to just mold them physically in clay. So what we ended up doing is scanning in with a laser scanner the heads based on these clay figures.
Animators then use everything from mirrors to their dogs to their own acting skills to bring characters to life.
This is a character called Pookie. It's the pet of our evil villain. It's kind of a cross between a dog and a bird. He kind of looks a little bit like my Boston Terrier, Caesar. So I wanted to kind of incorporate some of my pet into the character.
Oh, that fire! The one there, this one with the flames.
And sometimes it's the actor's voice that takes charge of the scene.
Chris Kattan had ad-libbed the entire line, so as much as he had ad-libbed the line, I sort of ad-libbed the animation.
In its first feature film, Fathom Studios scored a coup by snagging Freddie Prinze Jr. to play Delgo. Jennifer Love Hewitt is his love interest. Val Kilmer, Anne Bancroft, and Lou Gossett Jr. are among the other star voices. Lighting then adds detail and mood to their characters without the restrictions of human actors and a real set. Director Maurer says the elements all have to work together.
A good movie should grip you so much that you forget about all those things. The best special effect is one you've never seen.
Daniel Seabrook, CNN, Atlanta.
To travelers, Chile is best known as a destination for seeking adventure.
I've seen a lot of beautiful places in the world, but there's nothing like Chile. It's incredible.
Today's Chile still pleases the backpacking crowd, but it's also offering new levels of service.
It's very European there, so if you've been to Europe and that's what you expect, that's your standard, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Luxury hotels are just one factor boosting tourism.
More and more airlines are flying down, not just to Chile, but to all of South America. In fact, the airline routes to South America is supposed to grow more than to any other region in the world over the next few years.
Chile's small towns especially are benefiting from the attention.
Tourism in Chile is still in its youth. Other countries are helping to build up the infrastructure here. For example, the United States is expected to pump more than $2 billion in Chile tourism projects between 1992 and 2007.
That money is helping build hotels and develop ecotourism and agrotourism projects designed to teach visitors about farming in Chile. Telecommunication systems and banking services, already tourist-friendly, are being updated.
An American, for example, could travel to Chile and almost not change his habits, his daily habits at all. So there's not a big cultural clash here.
But despite the benefits of modern technology, crucial for both business and leisure travel, this is a place where observing traditional lifestyles is still compelling and eye-opening for visitors. And finding life the way it was often is simply a short drive away. Stephanie Oswald, CNN, Santiago, Chile.
This is not your typical classroom.
It feels different.
Both sexes are learning in their own way.
We learned decimals, we read more books.
It's a little bit funner.
In their own segregated classrooms.
This is Maria Mitchell Elementary, a unique Colorado public school, one of 2 in the nation, a pioneering effort that may be a prototype for others.
There is more of a focus and a concentration.
We've moved students from the lowest levels the unsatisfactory level.
Experts caution the results may not be directly attributable to the program.
There are many ways in which girls are discriminated against and have difficulty in school.
Studies show boys are called on more, encouraged to give more developed answers. Not so here.
Who wants to answer 5 times 3? Raise your hand.
But research also shows boys are struggling.
The test score results in Colorado, at least, suggest that boys are having trouble in reading and writing.
So educators are thinking outside the box. Take a look here. The assignment is the same. Both boys and girls are writing, but what they're choosing to write about and how it's taught is different.
You're talking about a sunny day.
I like to play on the internet.
While these programs are still in their infancy, like everything else, education needs to adapt to the changing times. Kimberly Osias, CNN Denver.
Equal pay for equal work, enshrined in British law since the mid-1970s. But here in the City of London, sexual discrimination has been described as rife.
Women on average earn 25 to 30% less than men across the board, across industries. So I would say there absolutely is.
Women that are probably better qualified aren't doing so well.
I'm 56 years old and I'm still waiting to be sexually harassed. It hasn't happened to me yet.
But litigation is no joke. A series of headline-grabbing stories in recent months have threatened to lift the lid on a world of sexual harassment and bias amongst some of the most respected names in the square mile. Many companies prefer to pay up rather than suffer accusations in open court. Only last week, Merrill Lynch UK settled with a former company lawyer who accused the firm of discrimination and victimization. But this litigation can be embarrassing as well as expensive. Industry experts say companies need to be more fair and more open.
They're going to have to be more transparent about pay and promotion, which is something that historically they've probably not been used to doing.
But can companies be trusted to make the necessary changes? Despite Morgan Stanley's decision to settle a bitter sex discrimination case in the States Monday, the $54 million payout includes a $2 million fund for anti-discrimination training for staff. And the court required the firm to cooperate with an outside monitor to oversee the company's progress.
One of the points that's come out of the case is not just about the money, but the terrible negative publicity and the sort of humiliation of having to carry out training at the behest of the court. I think the financial community will hate that prospect, will sit up very much and take notice, and begin to take some serious steps to do something about it.
When it comes to sex discrimination, bad publicity can cost reputations, even those of established firms. Experts say that price is now considered too high, and a real corporate culture change may be on the way. Diana Muriel, CNN, London.
When we ask people to interact with their babies,
say hi.
They spoke baby talk.
¿Qué pasó?
Most people do, no matter what language they speak.
The baby talk gets the smiles and the
Research shows that high-pitched sing-song voice helps a child learn words, sentences, and the rhythm of a language.
It emphasizes certain aspects of the structure of language the baby should pay attention to.
Hello.
Researchers also found that Americans, for some reason, are more exaggerated baby talkers than most Asians or Europeans.
Because we know, that these early years are very critical for learning a language. There are a lot of changes that take place in the period, say, between 6 and 12 months of age.
Jordan, look at Mama. Look at Mama.
Studies show a baby understands his or her name by the age of 4.5 months. But when do they start understanding other words, like mommy and daddy? To find out, psychologist Peter Jusek and his team at Johns Hopkins demonstrated for us how they studied 6-month-olds. Researchers masked the parent as not to influence the baby, and eventually played the words mommy or daddy.
Mommy, mommy.
While infants like John here watched videos of their parents, mom in one window, dad in the other.
Mommy, mommy.
At this early age, babies appeared to understand. They looked more at their moms when they heard the word mommy.
Daddy, daddy.
And more at dad when they heard daddy. Infants did not respond when they watched videos of other adults. For these youngsters, mommy and daddy were not general terms, but specific people.
According to the study's findings, a child at 6 months old will recognize the word mommy as their mommy and daddy as their daddy.
It's sort of gradually happened over the last couple of months that if you say, here comes mommy, and then he knows what that means.
He's just very responsive to us in ways that he wasn't before, and we're starting to pick up that he knows something about words.
It's important then, you think, to talk to him?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure, you bet.
Talk a lot, and in different tones and in different inflections, and we sing to him a lot and laugh with him a lot.
That interaction determines the sounds a child will eventually be able to say. By the time a child is 10 months old, research indicates he or she is already shutting out certain unfamiliar sounds. For example, English speakers have trouble distinguishing these Hindi sounds.
Sound contrasts like da and da.
Japanese babies will stop hearing the difference between the sounds L and R.
But a 6-month-old Japanese infant has no difficulty telling those differences. But again, by 10 to 12 months of age, they're already starting to show a decline in that ability.
Nicholas.
Hey. Hey, boy.
Talk to Daddy.
So even though these babies aren't old enough to say a word, they are sponges. What they absorb now dramatically impacts the language or languages they will be able to speak fluently as adults. Ann Kellen, CNN, Baltimore, Maryland.
As we celebrate Women's History Month, what role models come to mind? Maybe you think about the late Diana, Princess of Wales, who supported many charitable causes, including AIDS research and a ban on landmines. Or what about Sally Ride, the U.S. astronaut who became the first American woman to travel in space? The sky's the limit when it comes to role models these days, particularly when you talk to students enrolled in women's studies programs.
I guess some female role models that I have for America, I would have to go with Wonder Woman, who was made in 1941 to be a role model for females, and she kicks major butt. And Amelia Earhart's another good female role model, Janis Joplin, Elizabeth Dole, Hillary Clinton, and international female role models. I am a big admirer of Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa is a saint of the Roman Catholic Church who won a Nobel Peace Prize for her work with the poor in India. And you probably know Elizabeth Dole for her long career in public service in the United States, as well as her stint as the president of the American Red Cross and her brief run for the United States presidency. While she stands as a role model, she encourages women to go out and make their own mark. In her words, women share with men the need for personal success, even the taste for power, and no longer are we willing to satisfy those needs through the achievements of surrogates, whether husbands, children, or merely role models. In other words, don't just have a role model, be a role model. Some women have achieved such status that they are recognized merely by their first names. Cher, of course, Pocahontas, and Oprah. Television personalities are on the top of some role model lists.
My two favorite would have to be like Oprah and Martha Stewart. I love both of them. Oprah just seems like she has overcome a lot of obstacles in her life. I mean, starting as a young child, and I really admire her for how much that she has today, that she's done by herself, on her own. I think it shows that she's very independent. And the same thing for Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart seems like she can do anything. You know, like one quote is like she can get up and, you know, like have the chickens fed and bake a cake and build a shed all before noon. You know, I mean, like she can do anything. All the women stereotypical things that she can do, but she can do a lot of things that, you know, building, which you associate with men doing, building a shed or, you know, doing this type of things, that she can just do anything, and I think those two are my role models.
For me, I would say the biggest female role model would be Madonna, because she came from, like, she didn't have a mother growing up, and she just went to New York with, like, $30-something and just, like, made it all on her own. And, like, she attacks a lot of issues that most women wouldn't want to talk about, like sexuality and, like, racism and stuff like that. And even though she got a really bad rep, like, I don't know, I think she did a lot for women.
Madonna pushes others to succeed and take their place in the spotlight with this lyrical challenge. Everybody is a star. You know who you are. This is your chance to shine. It's got to come from the heart, do it right from the start, and step into the light. Each woman has that light and is a link in the history of women, say instructors at the University of Georgia.
We try to look at the ordinary women also. We try and say that they have been famous women, but like, what was my grandmother doing, or someone in my family? And we try and link with the history that we have, just as human beings.
The women that I celebrate, women, of course, like my mother, but the truly strong women, the truly phenomenal women, are the everyday women. The strength of a single mother, for example, who raises her children by herself. Truly phenomenal women.
In the words of French feminist Simone de Beauvoir, one is not born a woman, one becomes one. Something to celebrate this month and every month. Kathy Nellis, CNN, Athens, Georgia.
$360,000 babies are born every day on our planet. Which of them will grow up to outright Shakespeare, find a universal cure for cancer, or prove Einstein wrong?
There is an old Vulcan proverb.
It's a common myth, perhaps made popular by Spock, the emotionless Vulcan from Star Trek, that emotions and intellect are two separate parts of our minds.
We really need to change that historic dichotomy of cognition on the one hand, emotions on the other hand, and realize that our emotions are the fuel that give rise to social behavior, but also to different levels of intelligence.
Genetics also play a role, but Dr. Greenspan says a baby's future is not written in his DNA.
Regardless of the history of the IQ test in the family, if I see nurturing, warm, interactive people who read emotional signals well and interact well, usually I see happy, competent, and bright children.
And there's a few other approaches to increasing baby brain power that have drawn attention. Breastfeeding is good for your baby, and most experts believe it's also good for your baby's developing brain. Listening to music was once thought to enhance mathematical skills. Recent studies, however, don't support this claim, but music and dancing can be excellent ways to interact. Other studies show infants can learn basic sign language even before they speak. These infants appear to grow up a little smarter, but some experts think, again, the benefit is due to increased parent-child interaction. Baby reading lessons are quite popular. The maker of these videos, books, and flashcards claim to sometimes have 2-year-olds reading simple children's books by themselves. Some experts support these programs, others oppose.
If you do a little bit of looking at books with your children, and inspire them to be curious about the pictures and inspire them to be curious about what the words mean, but don't get into very structured, systematic teaching at too early an age, I think, and you also interact emotionally and have fun with pretend play and reading signals and problem solving together, then you have the best of both worlds.
While it may seem obvious, your child will learn the most if he or she also learns that learning is fun. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN, Atlanta.
My name is Christy Bell. I play Niami Denmother, which is a small halfling shamaness. This version of Niami is a shamaness, which means that she's one of the priestly types. She works more with the spiritual nature than the outright clerics and so forth.
Would you play a video game that didn't involve winning or losing? The EverQuest series is more about developing your character, working as a team, and interacting with the online community. And sometimes that interaction goes a little further.
My character actually officiated at several wedding ceremonies. I and the players involved would sit down and actually write vows and plan out a whole ceremony.
Now, somebody who doesn't know anything about EverQuest at all might think that was a little strange. I mean, they might think it's
characters getting married in the game?
It's just a part of the entertainment. I mean, it's fun, and if you have any sort of creative bent, it's a story. It's an interactive story.
Christy started with Dungeons & Dragons years ago, a precursor to many video games. Then she stumbled across a similar world on her computer.
I like stories. I like fantasy. I like role-playing. Being able to get in, run around in a fantasy world.
This is where Sony Online Entertainment tries to keep about 750,000 people happy across all its different games. If someone has a problem, they can ask a question, and one of these folks who are kind of like a demigod or a god, they can show up in the game and help them out. It's all part of keeping a virtual world running smoothly. What's the most number of people you see online at one time who are playing in one of these games?
Every night we fill 2 full football stadiums full of people playing our games. Every single night.
Every single night?
Every single night.
EverQuest is based in the mythical world of Norath, while other games, like The Sims, are based in modern reality. Even the mundane has a role here, like cleaning your house, going to the bathroom, or acquiring furniture. And players can often get very attached to their so-called Sims.
And the emotional connection that players have with the Sims is such a key part of the gameplay. So in Sims 2, you have facial expressions. They laugh, they cry, you experience their ups and downs, their joys, their sorrows. The player also projects so much more into that because they're projecting experiences from their own life. So it magnifies anything that you're seeing on the screen.
Of course, these types of games may not be for everyone.
Everybody has a different idea of what is fun. In fact, a couple of my family members are a little bit perplexed about this game thing that I do. A lot of people don't understand, and that's fine. I don't understand golf.
Daniel Seberg, CNN.
Karolina Kurkova, the 20-year-old model from the Czech Republic, gets checked out on runway walk after runway walk. She's a model, supermodel for New York's Fashion Week.
And she shows very well, and people love to see her because she's so full of life and beautiful. Thank you.
It's 8 a.m., 2 hours before the first show. Kurkova takes us along
Yellow shoe and rain. Not a good thing.
to learn the myths and realities of modeldom.
Let me get this straight.
You eat whatever you want.
I eat
you don't
whatever I
work
want.
out. You know how many women?
Sometimes.
I know a lot of women who would absolutely hate you.
I know, but I hope they don't hate me. It's not important to be skinny. I feel everyone is beautiful the way they are.
Myth. Supermodels have it easy.
So everyone thinks, oh God, it's so easy. You just look beautiful. You just walk on the catwalk. You look amazing. Maybe between the shows, you have to take a flight to go to London for one day, then come back. Go straight to work. No sleep. You don't have time to eat. Well, we're going to do a fitting for this. It's a young upcoming designer. His name is Zaldi, and it's his shorts actually tonight. I love this. Look at this. How cute.